reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. MMO Reporter's PAX 2012 coverage is brought to you by Guild Launch. Slay more dragons with Guild Launch. So I am here with Ryan, a cinematic designer for Defiance with Trion World, and we're going to talk about, well, Defiance. I think that's probably a pretty good topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start by introducing Cass. She's playing a character from the game, and she's here wowing crowds all weekend long here at PAX. So we'll get that out of the way. And yeah, Defiance is it's an MMO, and first it's a shooter, right? So our goal is to take great shooter mechanics that people love and put it on console, you know, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC simultaneously, and then add all the MMO trappings that MMO fans like and that shooter players don't really know exist yet, like the ability to find a new weapon in the open world and then have that weapon come with you when you go into PvP, that kind of thing, right? So that's the high level, I guess.
So one of the big hooks of the game is the tie-in with the sci-fi series. So we talked about that just a few minutes ago. Can you go over how that tie-in's going to work with the launch and everything?
Totally, yeah. So the high level is the game starts in April, and then 2 weeks later the show will launch. So when the game starts, you can play alongside Nolan, the star of the show, in-game, and we've captured his face. We've got him acting in-game, doing the VO and everything. And then as soon as the show starts, he'll leave, like drive out of the game world and show up on the show and star in the show. So that's kind of just the beginning of these two things tying in kind of intrinsically back and forth throughout the life of the game and the show, and that'll continue throughout all the seasons of the show where players are engaging in events that affect both the game and the show and affecting the world.
And you talked about maybe at one point a character, you know, driving away at the end of a season of the show and then showing up in the game for a while.
Exactly, yeah, we've got plans for that where we could have somebody like the star of the show come and hang out with us in the game while they're shooting the next season of the show, and the story continues, right? The story of the world continues while they're writing the next season of the show, and then the character go back when the show comes back up and the story goes on. So it's, we call it, the buzzword is a transmedia experience.
Nice. So we played some PvP just a few minutes ago, and we looked at, it feels a lot like a shooter, like really a comfortable shooter, something like Call of Duty. Was that something that was really important as you designed the game?
That's our goal, man. Yeah, we're all shooter players as well as MMO players at Trion, so it was very important to us that it be legit as a shooter first. Nobody wants to play an MMO that's kind of a shooter, but the shooting doesn't work. So it is an excellent shooter, first and foremost, and that's our goal. And on top of that, we're layering all the MMO trapping. So it's going to be something that people have never seen, especially on the consoles. And our biggest challenge right now is getting the word out, because the game is awesome. As you saw, like the shooting's very solid. It's the fun you'd expect in any other shooter, and then you add this huge open world and playing with thousands of players, and we're making shooter history, right? It's a shooter's dream.
So one of the really unique weapons that I got to play around with was the gun that shot those little mutagens out at the other player, and they started to grow on them, and then when they were killed, they exploded into the little demons, just like that. So is that, you know, is that a good philosophy that you've got as you're going through the different weapons to try and get something unique?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was important to us that this world feel different and we want players to feel the alien influence, right? It's a post-alien arrival world. Aliens and humans have warred for decades, and everybody's tired of fighting, and they're trying to make it work. We have aliens that are allying with humans, and alien factions that still hate humans that are trying to take us out. So it's important to us in the tone of the world that alien influence is there, and that the weapon you're talking about is it's called the Infector, and it's disgusting, but it like creates kind of like polyps on your character when you get shot with it. They're like alien infestations, and then when you die, they all pop and shoot out little bugs that go out and eat your allies. So it's pretty cool. We got all kinds of stuff like that in the game, yeah.
And it's starting to come here. Yeah, exactly. So we've got things going on, open world stuff. I know we looked at PvP here, but what are some of the exciting things that you can talk about as far as the open world stuff that you're really looking forward to players getting into? Sure,
man. So there's so many levels of cool. Like, we have a full-fledged narrative that arcs over the entire open world experience, so you're driven through the entire world as you interact with characters, and they send you on missions, and you do this all with your friends, right, in groups of up to 4 friends as you run around together, while thousands of other players swarm back and forth across the world, right? So there's that kind of like co-op PvE level where you just kind of do whatever activity you want to do and find new weapons, find new grenades and new abilities, right, and new shields for your character. And then we also have open world PvP where you can queue up and say, yeah, I want to be in the open world and go anywhere I want, but I want to shoot people in the face and not be pulled into an instance, right? And you can do that. You queue up your flag for PvP, and then there are objectives throughout the world that you're driven to, and you're competing right in the open world with the weapons you found and upgraded your character with, right? So as a shooter player, that's kind of the holy grail for me, is this kind of wide open world that I can shoot people in. It's awesome.
So is that going to be server-based or just flag-based, where people who choose to have their flags on, that's it, or is it going to be server?
It's going to be on an individual level you can flag, so we didn't want to put anybody in an environment where they're getting constantly ganked. You know, I love PvP servers personally, but not everybody likes being shot in the back of the head, or like in World of Warcraft, you get ganked by a rogue 17 times a minute or whatever. So you do have to say, I want to be engaged in this right now, and then everybody who said the same thing is put into that pool and you play with them.
So as a cinematics designer, are you trying to follow, with the cinematics for the game, are you trying to follow some of the style that the directors and the film, what's the word I'm looking for, the way, the shooting style of the show, are you trying to mimic that in the game as well with your cinematics?
Absolutely, yeah. So they have a very distinct style in the show. You'll see there's a lot of handheld stuff, and it really brings you into the action. If there's a scene with like you and I talking in the show, it'd be handheld and like very close lenses, right? And there's a little bit of shake on the camera. We emulate that in the game as well. So we're very kind of in lockstep with their style, so that when you move between the two, if you see Nolan, the main character of the show, in the show, when you see him in the game, it's going to be the exact same perspective, same character, same voice, same style, right? And that's really important to us.
So are some of you guys visiting the set and seeing some of the filming?
Absolutely, yeah. We've had team members go up and visit them in Toronto where they're shooting. They built an amazing, huge set. It's the biggest scope thing Sci-Fi has ever done, and they've got a whole, basically the whole town of Defiance has been built, and they're shooting out there. So we've seen the pictures back, and we've got to see some of their money they brought back and seen the gun props they're using, and it's a nerd's dream, man. It's so cool.
I thought for a second there you were just talking about the weird Canadian money, and we're Canadians, so.
Yeah, they have these loonies and toonies. It's weird. Yeah, I still don't know.
So what's your favorite thing to do? You get home from a long day at the office, you boot up the alpha server. What do you like to get into the game and do?
Sure, I like two things. I'm a big fan of the story, because that's what I'm working on. So I'm getting attached to a couple of the characters right now. There's one called Rose that I like to hang out with, and this character, Cass, even better in the video. No, I'm just kidding. Better in real life, but pretty good in the video game. And so I like to do missions with Cass in the game right now. She has a whole series of missions that you go through with her. She's with you pretty much through the entire story arc, which is awesome, as you can imagine. And then I'm a PvP guy, so I love competitive PvP. Co-op's fun, but I'd rather dominate people, so that's what I do. I play a lot of PvP, and I'm liking it more than any other shooter right now, so it's good news.
Awesome. Well, really looking forward to the game. Everything looks great. Thanks to both of you for taking the time out, and really look forward to getting into the game. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for talking with us.